last time we played, your party collected their things, got a repaired version of Jensen's blade that was also improved. He made it so this would not happen again, hopefully.
Yep. What a guy.
Hopefully. Oh, I have the hopefully tacked on there.
The world saving me using 2 character points to take that feat. Take that feature.
Yep.
You can still lose it in a pit of lava, though, so be careful.
Oh, shit.
Hey, the Lord giveth and the Lord taketh away.
I will refuse as a character to go near lava.
I'm just picturing.
Stop it falling from the sky.
I'm picturing Jensen and I'm picturing Jensen and Charlotte in Mount Doom, and Charlotte's like, "You gotta throw it." Jensen's like, "No."
I'm too scared.
They'll be up to a lava pool and they'll realize that I've stopped moving like 200 yards behind them. And I'm like, "What do you see?"
I can tank from here.
Send my way.
He'll just pick up and throw things towards you.
That's a build.
And then, as your characters were riding down the road to make your way to Aethergarde to catch up to the good doctor who had sent I think was a raven or crow? It was a raven.
One of them.
I think it was a raven. A letter to let all of you know kind of like the exact location of his family's manor in Bethel Hill. And inviting you there. You guys also noticed that it had been signed and stamped as he's the new lord of that manor. And you decided to peruse more in Bede's book about the rise of the first queen of what would eventually become the nation of Albion. And as you finally got a chance to catch up with those characters a little bit, you found them as they were entering the Whispering Wood to attempt to solve an issue leading up to the festival that the guards had been having with some rather violent and aggressive wolf packs. And on the way, some of you bumped into a strange priest, one Gareth Harlow, who had some strange signs of his own. But you continued on your journey after talking to him, and you found some missing children and did battle very creatively with these wolves, as we discovered that, much like this party, the party in the book that your characters are reading are also not necessarily totally equipped for warfare. While some of them are good at fighting, but most of them are not. You managed to save them from the wolves using illusions and fairy magic and just straight up badass knife throwing and sword slashing and stuff. And then I believe we left off with all of the characters taking them at the end of the chapter out of the woods so that they could head back to the town of Lambeth. And that leaves me to ask all of you, as the journey continues down the road, there are still a couple hours before Aethergarde. Does your party want to continue to read? Or would they like to take a break?
V would definitely like to continue reading.
Yeah. I think Jensen would be enthralled with it. It's starting to get a little juicy.
V is training.
Oh, right. Yep.
He turns the pages for us.
He's reading a book and listening to an audiobook. Efficient.
Uh-huh. V's going to be the first one to open the
Open V.
Codex.
Yeah.
Your Fortis Codex?
Yeah.
All right, then. So,
unless we can for sure get into combat while we're on the road so we can get Veer into combat, because I want to know what the book's going to do in combat.
So, there's a higher chance that you will learn what the book does in combat, do a random encounter, than you continue reading the book. I will say that.
Fuck around. I do want to see Veer in combat, though. I'm so intrigued.
I'll show you.
There's got to be
Hop out
something
of
to
the
do
cart
here.
for a
It's got to be
minute.
something.
You guys can stop the cart and challenge the book to a combat.
No. Jensen's got a bad feeling about trying to do anything violent towards this book.
He hasn't learned combo moves yet in order to be able to deal with the book. I gotta learn how to low kick a book,
Combat and book are two very different things.
It's true. That's very true. Book much more difficult.
Much.
Yep. No, let's read.
All right.
You're no fun.
For another day.
I
Seraphina,
have completed my training, master.
we pick up with you, you leading the party out of the woods. I will be trying to play your valiant squire for today. Shouldn't be too difficult. I'll just find a bush to hide in if anything goes around. But everyone is together. The kids are, each one of them is holding one of your Squire Pate's hands, and he's kind of taken on the general servant, like kid watching duties as all of you are walking out. You guys have a short walk through the woods. You probably know that you'll be back in less than half an hour.
No, you already read that part. We've dropped the kids off at their mother already. That happened last time.
Oh shit, did I fall asleep? I might fall asleep. I don't think so, though.
I don't
That
remember
wolf.
that.
Them big old wolves is mighty interesting.
Well, whatever. Just keep reading.
So, Vir Fortis, as the opening of the next chapter goes into the details of them having to trudge back through the woods, you would notice that there's a couple differences. There's a little bit of time in the opening of this next chapter that is spent talking about the return to the area where the priest was met. And specifically, Drosophilum, when the party passed through that area, you felt a disturbance in the nature in that section of the woods, as if it was afraid.
The nature was afraid?
Yes.
I would keep that to myself.
Okay.
You don't want to make the people afraid by telling the people that the nature was afraid?
Exactly.
Eventually, all of you do reach the outside, and the children are returned. The guards give their thanks, and all of you have the rest of the afternoon, essentially, of time to kill. Tomorrow, the festival begins. One of the things that the guards would have let you all know is that they were letting... obviously, certain events are just individuals signing up, but they were also planning on letting festival participants sign up as teams for many of the events. But your team does have to have a name. Seraphina, you would know that the knight who came with you... Oh, man, whose name I'm blanking on, because it was so
Corin.
long. Sorry, can you say that again?
Corin.
Corin. Yeah, Corin.
I know, because on my inventory sheet I have Corin's parrying dagger.
Yes. Corin is generally above games. He is a knight of House Ashmore, after all.
So am I.
You will be officially a dame, hopefully at the end of this festival. But technically, even though he has a full knighthood and you don't, because of your family lineage, he takes orders from you. So you could technically force him to be part of your team if you wanted. But you know that he would be very grumpy because you have known him since you were a young child.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to force that on him. I'll never hear the end of it.
So you might have to, if you want to have a team, like a lot of the other families will, you might have to convince these new people you've met.
I don't think that'll be too hard.
But with that knowledge imparted on all of you, the afternoon is yours. And now I'm just going to let it be awkwardly silent until you start role-playing.
Who else would like a nap?
Who else would like a what? Sorry, my dog was going crazy.
A nap. Open your ears.
Yeah.
I mean,
What could we do? Opening my ears to for a nap?
When Joseph Willem says that, you can kind of see Pate off to the side, like checking his ears, like folding them. Like, how the fuck do you open your ears?
resting is important, but there are a number of other games before the festival tomorrow. Though they do require a team, and I'll look over to Corin, just kind of seeing him a little bit further away, I'll say. And it seems the only other member of my house is a little bit unwilling. Don't suppose all of you would be interested.
What kind of games?
I think I confused you, Stella. The games start tomorrow as well.
Oh.
You just need to make sure you got your team ready before tomorrow, because sign-ups
Gotcha.
will be in the morning. Corin, you do see when she says that, he is around the side of the tavern yelling at somebody who is like, clearly he caught somebody who was trying to steal some of the horses. Probably some of them were the Ashmore horses, and he is giving them a very thorough ringing.
Well, there's all sorts of games. There's an eating contest, I'm sure. Ring tossing. Archery.
You would know.
Instead of a bow, could I throw daggers?
There is dagger throwing. You would know to expect that. The festival has a lot of traditional games. There's arm wrestling, dagger throwing, drinking contests, greased pig catching. There'll be horse breaking. You guys have actually seen people setting up the obstacle course. You can also expect a sheep shearing contest. There's always one of those. There's storytelling contests and wrestling contests. There's even slapping contests.
They're slapping. Love it.
The traditional group games is a baton pass race. There's a log toss. There's a pie eating contest, a knowledge contest, a stag hunt, a massive tug of war. And additionally, the greater events, these you would all be able to participate in. Some of them are actual contests. The archery contest, the joust, which unfortunately with that one, that is only for the lords and ladies. The Knights Melee, which is something you could participate in as a team. And there is always, of course, the Great Cheese Race. Which is basically, they take a big-ass thing of cheese and they roll it down a hill and everybody runs down the hill trying to catch it.
I've seen videos of people doing that.
That's the one.
And then there is always, on the at the end of the joust, to cap off the big event, there is the Matron's Banquet. Which it would be expected royalty to be at, even possibly Seraphina's father.
I owe him money.
How much?
That's not important.
That's not. I'm gonna look at the little bit of chaos that we saw over off in the sky, and I'm gonna look at Drossphilum and be like, "You had something to do with that, I bet."
I did? When did I do that?
That's a great question. You're sneaky.
Yes, please, enlighten me. When did I do it? I don't
Well,
remember.
I don't know either. I don't know either. It's a hypothesis.
I see.
Not proven.
Well, let us gather evidence. Shall we?
That could be fun. You're gonna plant evidence.
I would never do such a thing.
How could you assume he would do something like that? Look at how innocent he looks.
I'm gonna look at the
I don't think he would ever
lady.
do anything like that.
I'm gonna look around at each one of you to like try to judge if you're kidding or not.
Pate just shrugs at you.
I think I want to try the storytelling contest.
I think you'd be a good fit for it. Dross, I think you'd be good at all the ones involving animals, no?
Well, I wouldn't be opposed to them. They sound like fun.
Pate's gonna kind of like make a gross face as you say that, Dross, and he's gonna say they really grease up those pigs.
Well, they have to. Otherwise, it's not fun.
They don't have to. Pigs are already hard to catch.
You'd be surprised. Some people are
Well then, Pate,
extraordinarily skilled.
how about we grease you up and try and catch you?
I like this plan.
I'm gonna go see if Cord needs help with the horses.
Fetch the grease, Pate.
Fine. he hangs his shoulders as he walks away.
And Edric, lots of precision contests. I think you might be good at. I watched you throw those knives earlier. It was quite incredible.
He throws knives?
He throws lots of knives, actually.
Well, these two knives, at least.
Mm.
And his knife, I'll point after Pate, but I'll kind of give that back after the battle.
Oh, that's why he didn't have a knife.
Hit that tree with a knife. I just point to a random tree nearby.
I'll chuck a knife out at it real quick.
Sticks into the tree.
Now go get it.
Golf clap. Why would I do that?
This is your idea.
It was, and it was a very good throw. Good job.
We should get you some more knives.
I always got my eye out for some knives. Speaking of which, I'm going to scan the crowd for anybody that has an easy-to-grab knife.
I mean, there's people with like tables out and stuff that have knives on them. There's not a lot of. When you're looking around, you're not seeing a lot of like knives that are actually meant for like.
Combat.
Yeah, but you can definitely. There's knives that are like sharp enough to throw at somebody and stick in them.
I might grab one or two on my way to pull my knife out of the tree.
Yeah, make a couple sleight of hand tests for me. Target number on each of them is 6.
6? Okay. I can technically fail a 6. It's very difficult. 6. First one is 16.
I'm like intently watching him do this.
And the second one is 10.
Yeah. You scoop up. You can roll against those to see if you notice Ranishon. You just gotta roll.
I don't know why I rolled. I have 3 in sleight of hand. I should have auto-passed those.
Oh yeah, fair. But since Ranishon wants to see if he notices, we'll keep your rolls and.
That is that plus that. $15.
Yeah, you definitely notice he very nimbly moves through the crowd and comes back with a couple extra knives.
Cool. I mean, like, if anybody was looking at his face, you'd kind of see like just like the slightest bit of the smile, like he's like, this is impressive. That's it.
4 knives.
So where are these game sign-up sheets? Or people? Or places? How do we do this?
Oh, well, usually, yes, you sign up for them. In order to sign up for the group games, however, though, assuming we're going to be a team, we'll need a name.
Well, some of us used brawn and agility, and some of us used wits and wisdom about us. Maybe a combination of the two. We did save those children rather effectively.
The children savers.
Oh, that's that's vain.
I suppose you're right. It does get the message across, though.
So does a knife between the eyes. Doesn't mean it's good.
That.
Yeah,
Knife
he knows what I'm
between the
talking about.
eyes. Maybe a little dangerous for a team name, but I could see how it could go by.
Intimidating, though.
Call our team Wolfsbane.
Wolfsbane, I like that. Lets everyone know that we're strong, worthy, capable of taking on dire threats. And it sounds nice.
It's pretty narrow. We're really tiring ourselves to one event, you know?
I mean, it's the only event we've really done together.
Yeah, true.
You guys did snatch a couple children. We could call ourselves the Children Snatchers.
That is the kind of infamosity that we would desire, for sure.
Not sure that it sends the right message, though.
Odd thing for a dame to be a part of.
Yes, I'd rather not people think that I snatch up children. Unless it's to save them, of course. Then I do want them to know that. Perhaps something more broad. Something like... I don't actually know. I'm actually thinking.
It's okay. I like this. I like this in-character brainstorm.
I'm gonna look at Josephina and say, this, well, your and mine meeting seems a little bit like fate. What if we tied that into it? What if it was we were the storm searchers, or the eye of the storm, or something like that?
I do like Eye of the Storm.
The Eye of the Storm. It's not often you find it calm where Seraphina Ashmore is. You hear a familiar voice. A voice you haven't heard in a few years. It's the voice of Galdric Glynn. He is a young knight, a son of another king from a royal house, the House of Glynn. And you know him because your two families actually get along quite well, the Ashmores and the Glynns, much better than most of the royal houses do. You see him approaching with a cadre of his own that he has brought with him for the festival, and you would know that he is probably also entering the joust, hoping to attain a full knight's title. He smiles at you. The last time you saw him, he was still fairly young and immature, especially physically. He was a ward that had been exchanged with one of your brothers between your two parents, who are both the kings, which is a somewhat common practice between allies. And he was kind of sent and exchanged as part of like his basically growing into adulthood ritual. So he lived with your family like another family member, kind of, for a period of time. He smiles when he sees you and he opens his arms. It has been too long, Seraphina.
It certainly has, Galdric. Good to see you. You've grown. Looking quite strong.
I had to fill out a little bit to fit the armor.
Well, it fits you quite well.
We were thinking about calling ourselves Lightning Hooves, as we do have the most powerful horses in the 12 Kingdoms.
Oh, wow. The most powerful horses. Well, that is... If I had the most powerful horses, I would certainly wish to tout that.
He smiles even wider. And it seems as though I'll be meeting you and your team in the field of the festival over the next couple of days.
Yes, especially the joust, I hope.
He'll nod. Sir or dame, perhaps we will decide against each other. I hope you've been preparing.
Every day, Galdrick, every day.
He'll nod, and he'll look to you for a moment, and then he'll look back to Corin, who's just finished summarily, verbally destroying the would-be thief, and he'll say, perhaps I should go pay my respects to Grumpy as well.
I think he'd like that.
If you seek me, I'll be staying at the tavern. And the rest of you will notice, as he starts to backpedal, he'll shoot her a little wink. And then he'll turn to go see Corin.
Is that a love interest?
Oh, goodness, no.
Oh.
He was
That
a
one
ward.
thinks very highly of himself.
He winked at you, though.
He certainly did. He's got a lot of potential, that one. He's got a way to go, though.
Like, I got perfect team name. Ranashana's Lanahamas.
Boy, that rolls off the tongue well, doesn't it?
It's a lot of syllables.
Wait, Pate steps back up. That doesn't make sense. I thought Ranashan's last name was Lanahan.
Tis a play.
How could we be his Lanahamas?
Perhaps it's a title of sorts rather than a family name?
Can you explain this to us, Ranashan? I'm really confused.
Yeah, Grandpa.
I do
don't
not
really
mean to be this
understand it.
possessive. Well, you should understand it because you created this.
I did
But
not create the family name.
I would not be so vain.
Well, what was your mom's name?
Rana.
Rana?
Yeah.
Rana Lanahama?
Yes.
Also rolls off the tongue.
Now I'm more confused because he said it wasn't, and now he's saying it is.
And my father's name was Sean. I say very sarcastically.
So your parents just mashed their names together to make
Make
yours?
your name?
See how creative one can be when he just makes random things up?
Well, now I don't know who to trust.
Are you lying to us, Grandpa?
I definitely don't think you should trust Ranashana Lamahama.
I think he's had
Wait.
a long day, Joseph.
Grandpa, so are you Drosophilum Lanahama?
Oh boy.
Whose names did you combine to make his name Drosophilum?
Grandpa never told me. My parents died long ago.
That's kind of sad, actually.
He doesn't like to bring it up.
We can
I
tell.
stay quiet.
I mean, obviously.
I stay quiet. I will not be rage baited anymore in this conversation.
I'll pass a like a mug of ale or something over to you.
Sure. You guys have found, at this point, you guys have found one of, like, the long tables outside of the tavern in, like, that big area that they opened up as, like, temporary drinking, and you've, like, taken over a side of it.
Oh, great. Perfect for practice for the drinking contest as well.
Corin sits down. Oh, I see. You planning on forming a team, Serafina?
Well, that's the goal, yes. I've got my motley crew here that I think will help us achieve victory. We're still looking for a name, though.
Well, I seem to remember that we had planned to ride here just the two of us so you could stay focused on practicing up to the joust.
Oh, yes, I fully intend to do that.
All right, then.
Is any challenge not also practice?
He opens his mouth as if he's about to start to argue, and then he looks to you and he says, I trust you'll be ready for the joust.
You could say I was born ready, Corin.
Galdrick has arrived as well.
Yes, he stopped by and said hello. He's looking rather well.
Yes, looking at you rather often.
Yes, I noticed that as well. Let's hope he keeps a straight head. Let's hope he keeps his head on his shoulders for the joust tomorrow. I would not like an easy bout.
Just don't get distracted.
Me? Distracted? Never.
So, have you Figured out the team name at least. Something that won't embarrass the family, I hope.
Well, we've had a few ideas, but nothing has fully stuck yet. I was thinking something like Fate's Fighters, just to really drill home how destiny has brought us all together here.
Oh, the Fateborn.
Ooh, the Fateborn. Mystical.
Sounds like you found yourself some bards.
Bards? Where?
I think we're all bards in our own way.
He'll look at you, Joseph Willem, and say, actually, there was one wandering around asking for interviews. He called himself Bede. I don't know where he got off to, though.
Oh my god, I will be right back, guys. I'm gonna go try and find Bede.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Put in a good word for me.
Make a perception test. Target number is 4. Joseph Willem wanders off and very, very quickly scampers out of view.
An eccentric one. I like
8.
it.
You're walking around the village, and eventually behind one of the village hovels, you see a thickly robed, kind of English monk-like figure. He's even got like the tonsured hair, which is like the bald head with the ringed hair, and he's standing on tiptoes in his sandals. Give that back to me. And he's got this large leather-bound tome that's being held over his head by these 2 kind of tall, grimy peasants who appear to be bullying him.
And what's happening here?
One of them, they both kind of shift and turn and look at you. Huh. And then they turn back to him, completely ignoring you, holding the book up, laughing at him as he hops on his feet. I need that. I'm going to fill its pages with tale. Now give it to me.
Excuse me? You ignoring me?
They both turn back and look at you again.
Good.
Perhaps we should hold him by the ankles. Oh, that would be funny. One of them reaches out to grab you suddenly.
Yes, that would be funny. Left ankle. I'm gonna
Do you
hold
even-
my left leg to him.
He grabs you by the left ankle and he picks you up and holds you up in the air, shaking you.
That's
Do you have things in your pockets?
Probably like sticks and leaves.
Smooth rocks for
Normal
skipping.
stuff.
Yeah, nice looking rocks.
Yeah, they like watch all the stuff dump out and they realize none of it's like worth anything and they just drop you on the pile. What are you?
Ow. I am Drosophilum.
Another one leans down and looks at you more closely, and then he straightens back up and he looks at the other one and he says, my mom's told me about these. One of them fays that lives out in the woods.
There's a fae here? Where?
You.
Me? How did you come to that conclusion?
The other one leans in and you can hear him whisper, don't they have those fey magics? And both of them are starting to look a little uneasy now.
Say, that's a nice book you have held way up high. Can I have that?
You got some money?
I have a rock.
I don't want your sticks and rocks.
What good is money for?
Drinking.
You drink
Women.
money? You drink women?
No, we pay for those things with money. Now go get us some and we'll give you the nerd's book.
You can't get your own?
This is how we get it. You think we shit money?
Well, that sounds painful, actually.
They look bewildered by you at this point. Like you're either a fae or you're an idiot.
Or both.
Or both. Yeah.
Well,
Is there any fire nearby?
Yeah.
How about you just give me the book back? I'm gonna do fire casting and just pull a flame and hold a fireball in my hand.
They both stop. One of them drops the book, and it tumbles into Bede's hands, and he catches it just barely. And they both shoot. We don't want any trouble with your weird fey magic.
Okay, then leave and pray that there's no bees.
Bee. And then they're just gonna turn and they're gonna like hustle off over the hill. Bede's gonna hold the book to him, and then he's gonna look to you, and he's gonna say, "Wait, are you actually a fae?"
Just gonna blow the fire out in my hand. No.
He opens one of the blank pages, and he starts scrawling down notes with a quiver. What'd you say your name was? Interesting. And how do you draw the fire to you like that?
It's really rather technical. I'd rather not get into it, actually.
I have a lot of pages. Is it instinct? Or do you actually know the technique?
Yeah, both?
Okay, we're getting somewhere. He starts writing some more. And then he turns the page and he says, "Could you just stand there for a minute?" And you realize that he's starting to sketch you out.
Oh, no. This side is better.
He shifts and he starts editing his sketches a little bit, and he continues. And then finally he gets that sketch done, he closes the book, and he says, "You might be a very interesting subject for a story. Sorry, my name is Bede. Some would call me a bard, or a monk, a storyteller.
Ooh, I like stories.
A mythologist, if you would."
What stories do you have?
"Oh, all kinds. Have you, heard the story of Heirloom Hill?"
Nope.
King Arlen Ashmore, he negotiated peace with House Bloodstone there and ended the War of Blood and Umber. There's been peace in the 12 Kingdoms ever since.
Ashmore? Like Seraphina?
Yes, like Seraphina. Actually, Seraphina would be Arlen's granddaughter. Why, do you know her?
Yeah, she's right over there.
Perhaps you could introduce me.
Oh, but of course, I'm gonna need some stories as payment, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. I'm just gonna grab his hand and start walking back.
Okay. Cutting back to the table. What are you all talking about?
I'm regaling them with heroic stories of things I've done. I get very into it. At one point, my one leg is up on the table.
Make a performance test for me.
Oh boy. 7.
Okay. You actually draw in a little bit of a crowd of people that are pretty focused on her story, Edric.
I am going to look for any full purses.
Yeah, there's purses
Like
out
in
there.
some of those.
Sure. I'll let you go for a couple sleight of hand tests here. Target number for each of them. You said you got a 7. Target number for each of them is 7.
I think I auto pass those with 3.
Oh, you sure do.
By hand.
So you cut a couple purses, and you come back with an additional. Keep forgetting which one's the lower.
I have 3 gold galleons and 25 copper shields.
That's it.
Right now.
So you come back. You come back with another 50 copper shields and an additional 10 silver swords.
Story time is always so profitable.
Finally, the crowd disperses, and as it does, you guys see Joseph Philem dragging this rather small, slightly weary looking. He looks basically like a monk or a friar with this large tome towards your long table.
Guys, I found him. This is Bede.
Yes, Bede.
I said that.
Sorry, the bard.
Bede, come, take a seat.
He'll sit down.
Mead? Turkey leg?
I'd
I'll just shove everything in front of him.
I'd actually love some. I haven't eaten. I've been walking for like 2 days.
Oh, please.
Walking from where?
Oh, I've been walking from the east, Shorthalt's Abbey. I had stayed there for a few days to collect some stories, and they had notified me early when I arrived of when the Matron's Day Festival would be. I heard it's an affair that lasts through the weekend and ends in a large joust, and I just thought I had to be here to, record the events. Stories are important, and so is our histories. I intend to collect both. Perhaps one can even be the other.
Guess where there'll be plenty of history being made tomorrow. You'll definitely want to be present for that.
Well, if you all wouldn't mind me following along, are you participating as a team?
Yes, we will be.
Interesting. He turns the page to a new blank page. He starts taking notes. And what moniker will you be competing under?
Oh, Fateborn. Fateborn.
Oh, I know how to spell it.
Just make sure you get this.
He's writing it, and as he does, he goes, "A wonderful name. I couldn't have come up with something better than myself. It evokes so much emotion and connection between all of you. Are there deep connections between you and your?" He kind of observes the table.
I'm going to put an arm around Ranashan and another arm around Drosophilum and say, yes, there most certainly is.
When you do that, Ranashan, you and Seraphina both feel a familiarity, even though you haven't done something like that with each other before.
I'm gonna kind of like look at your hand, and then kind of like look away, and then like kind of narrow my eyes. If you were looking at my face, narrow my eyes and just not say anything.
When you look away, in the distance, you see the trees of the Whispering Woods on the hills, and just briefly, they're burning.
His eye will twitch, and he'll grab the drink and down the rest of the drink.
Definitely, interesting, the group you've brought here. I expected, a bunch of knights, honestly.
Oh, we're certainly better than that. Oh, there's also my lovely squire, Pate, wherever he's gone to. I think he went to fetch grease or something. I can't remember. He maybe likes the greased pig competition.
Corin will nod his head and he'll say, yes, he is indeed trying to seek grease. I explained to him that they've probably set aside all of the grease for the greased pig competition. But he is attempting in vain to please his lady anyways.
Yes, he is very adamant and he's very good at his job. And even if he doesn't find grease, at least this will build character.
But if he doesn't, who are we going to practice catching pigs with?
I'm sorry, were you planning on greasing your squire? Or...
Well, only if he's up for it. He might need to rest first.
I shake my head.
He continues taking notes. And you brought this court wizard with you. That's very interesting. He points to Drosophilum.
Oh. My other eye twitches.
Court wizard?
He displayed some of his magical abilities, aiding me in recovering my book when we met a few minutes ago.
Oh, yes. He does have some strange tendencies, that's true.
He drew a flame from a cooking fire into his palm. It was incredible.
It was, wasn't it?
I wish I could have seen it myself.
Well, I'm sure he could do it again.
No, you kind of had to be there. Sorry.
It's really just chaotic magics anyways.
And he looks to you as you say that, and he says, and you must be some kind of...
He's my grandfather.
Yes, please continue.
Or...
Grandfather.
old man they found in the woods? I'm not sure.
Surprisingly,
Sure.
Could be a mixture
I-
of those
Bit of
things.
both, actually.
I can be. Yes, I'm just the old man they found in the woods. Yes.
Interesting. I'd heard some strange passing about these woods. The wolves have been extra aggressive lately or something of the sort.
Not anymore, they're not.
Interesting.
I'll like re-put my arms around whoever's next to me. We saw to that. Just recently, actually.
Already making a name for yourself and not even fully knighted yet.
That is the goal. And to help the people, of course.
well,
There's supposed to be some reward for saving the kids and killing the wolves.
Well, the reward is a job well done, of course.
I think I may have forgotten to give you guys the reward. Last session when we did the scene where the mom got the kids back, but we'll say that they passed out. We'll say that they passed out 10 silver swords to each of you.
I would have given that away immediately.
I'll take it.
Serafina would have refused it.
Yeah. They honestly probably
I'll take
wouldn't have
her share too.
They probably wouldn't have offered Serafina any because she's already richer than the whole village. So
Yeah.
I guess I'll just take Dressophilim's share.
Yeah, I would take my share for what it's worth.
and Pate took his share. Unless you
which is my share.
technically, if you had refused, it's possible they wouldn't have paid your squire. But we'll say that Pate got 10 silver shields so that Jesse can get, or swords so that Jesse
Yeah.
can get them.
I mean, he can buy some stuff himself. Get himself a nice haircut, you know.
Or you just give him 10 silver out of your bag.
Yeah, that's fair. So, Fateborn, I think we're going to have a very exciting end to the 10-day.
It should be one to remember. I will make sure of that.
I assume all of you have lodgings. Corin will raise an eyebrow. Of course, those that arrived with the cadre of House Ashmore have been given access to one of the local longhouses. Serafina, we do have some extra beds if you want to invite your friends, I suppose.
Well, if they need a place to stay, who would I be to turn them down?
That is true. It does seem like you and your Corin turns and looks at you, Drosophilim, and then Ranishon, grandfather, prefer sleeping in the woods.
Well, that's certainly where I sleep most of the time.
Well, you've got a warm bed inside if you'd like it.
I would like one.
We
See
can even
what
put
all
some
the
leaves
hubbub
on.
is about.
We can even put some leaves on it if you'd like.
That would actually be wonderful.
Yes,
We'll find you the best.
because as you know, Corin looks at you again, Drosophilim, very meaningfully. Beds do not normally have leaves in them.
Well, that depends on whose bed you're talking about. A lot of animals actually sleep in nests made of leaves and sticks and such. Birds, rodents, a lot of things.
Are you calling the Drosophilum a bird or a rodent?
Oh, yeah, that too, actually.
Grandpa,
Yes,
why would you
since
do
you're
such
not
a
gonna call me by my name, anyways.
Well, now hold on, Drosophilim. There's a question here. Would you be a bird or would you be a rodent if you had to be one of the two?
This is information I would like to know as well.
Honestly, I think I, personally, would be a rodent with bird wings.
Ooh, good answer.
Lying rat. I like it.
Hmm.
Well, that's settled.
They're quite terrifying, actually.
Oh, you've seen one?
Not many, but yes,
Oh. Well, of course.
they're rare.
just like staring at Drosophil this whole time.
Serafina, you can tell that Corin is... He is wary of the people you have picked up.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of catch his gaze, and I'll scoot a mug over to him and say, "You look like you could use a drink, Corin."
I am more tired than I expected for the first day here. I'll take a sip. Perhaps
Yes.
I am getting too old for these long journeys.
Oh, nonsense. You're not too old. You're just a little jaded is all. You just have to keep an open mind to things.
Perhaps I think we've been picking up too many strays.
Oh, but strays are the best ones to know. They've got all the best stories.
Yes. He'll take another sip, and then he'll knock back the rest of the mug, and he'll sit it down. I'm going to get the longhouse ready. Don't cause any trouble. It's only the first night.
Wouldn't think twice about it.
He'll pull himself up out of the seat. He'll call to his squire, and the two of them will head. You'll see him head out and start to walk across the village to one of the longhouses on the far side.
But I might think once about it. Oh, take a drink.
And is there anything else your group wants to do with your evening before you retire for the first day of the festival?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
I
All
would-
right.
I would slap my hand down on the table and then point at Bede. I was promised a story.
Oh, yes. Wait, you're a writer. You're a bard, even. What kind of stories do you have?
He'll smile and he'll smile and
Setting
he'll
up Chat GPT for a fantasy story right now.
Fuck no. I've got like a stories idea, Doc. I'm just deciding how I want him to approach. He'll smile and he'll say, "Well, what kind of tales would you like to hear? Ones of the 12 kingdoms? Maybe ones more specific to your family?
I'd love to hear what tales you have
Or
of
others'
House Ashmore.
families?" Well, I mean, as you know, there are many. You are the granddaughter of Arlen Ashmore, are you not?
Indeed.
I had begun to tell your friend here about Heirloom Hill. That was, of course, the end of the War of Blood and Umber. Do all of you know why it was called that?
There was blood, and there was umber.
Well, as I'm sure Serafina could tell you, if she wanted to, Castle Umber. It is one of the largest fortresses in all of the 12 kingdoms. From the throne of Castle Umber in the Umberlands, Serafina's father, grandfather, his father, and grandfather before them have ruled their kingdom. While the House Bloodstone, who claim, much like the Ashmores, to be of the oldest noble families in all of the 12 kingdoms, they rule from a place in the northern reaches. The Golden Steps, it's called. The Bloody Seat is where King Kellen Bloodstone resided at that time. He was well, let's say, he and King Arlen saw the duties of rulership quite differently. And it led to a great war, one that brought in all 12 of the kingdoms. Some say it was the greatest war that has ever touched these lands. Though I have heard tales and myths of wars from times before that were as bad, it has a lasting memory with the peoples of today. Ultimately, even through alliance, these two houses had to do battle themselves. And the War of Blood and Umber was decided on Heirloom Hill. After, they say, 5,000 knights from each side fell, and still knights stood ready to battle. They say the melee lasted hours and hours, from dawn till twilight. And on that twilight, Arlen could not stomach any more blood. He met this King Kellen on the field of battle, and he negotiated a single combat between the two. It would decide not so much a winner of the war, but who would decide if peace ruled or blood continued to spill until there were no children left to be raised to the seat or positions of these kingdoms. Though this King Kellen Bloodstone dealt a fatal blow to Arlen, Arlen laid him to rest first on the field of battle. And despite the, let's say, wishes of some of those that had allied themselves with the noble house Ashmore, he did not absolve the Bloodstone line. He instead let the children of the Bloodstone live. He took not a single other life other than King Kellen. There was peace after that. A peace that still lasts today. A peace that is upheld by negotiation, trade, and other things. He closes his book and he looks at all of you. Though as a traveled bard myself and a collector of tales, I must admit, I have heard that there are simmers between these nations again. Worrisome ones. What do you say to those rumors, Seraphina? For context, Seraphina, there are always people in the court of your father who believe that the Bloodstones should have been all wiped out, and they are like a dangerous force to the rest of the kingdoms. So there's always people who are spreading rumors that things are going to pop off again.
I think you'll find that the merging of the two houses is set in stone. No further dangers from either side. I am living proof of this. I stand as a symbol of peace for all the 12 kingdoms, and I intend to prove that tomorrow and every day after.
He'll nod his head. And, Seraphina? The good lady would know far better than I. So, Drosophilum, what did you think of my story?
Well, it was a bit dry in the middle, but overall it was alright, I guess.
It can be hard to please. His eyes snap back to you, a fae. He says it in front of everyone. He's clearly trying to see everyone's reactions.
I smile. I smirk.
She'll, not respond, and then she'll take another drink and just... A fae? I thought you were a court wizard. You've got quite the illustrious history, don't you?
I don't know.
You're not sure what your history is?
Not entirely.
Well, perhaps your grandfather could shed some light, if he's willing to.
He never wishes to speak about it.
That grim, huh?
It must be dark.
and stormy.
Wait, if you're Fae and you've got magical abilities, and you're his grandson, does that mean that you can also command magic? Looking at
I would under the table. I would like snap my hand. I would cast the illusion one that I cast before,
Sure.
and then
Illusion craft.
Yeah, illusion craft, and then you'd see like a little like chipmunk or something like climb up on the table and like skitter across the table and like stand in front of Bede and kind of like look up at him and like clean itself, and then like vanish away. Be like,
well, quite the answer.
Interesting, Seraphina. Very, very interesting. Bede starts taking more notes.
the wolves certainly thought it was interesting.
You said you arrived here today with your fellow knight Corin?
Yes, that's correct, and my loyal squire Pate.
And you've already collected yourself a fae, a wizard, and he looks at you, Edric, and a thief. And he smiles.
Good.
Allegedly.
Not allegedly to me. You see, I was in the tavern the last time all of you were here, observing. I'm glad I kept my coin purse so tight.
Yes, well, now that you're on this side of the table with Edric, I'm sure you won't be victim to that again.
Of course.
He smiles confidently and nods his head. Oh, you don't have to worry. I write stories. I'm not a snitch. But I am quite interested to see what this little crew does. And I'm quite interested to write it down, because if I do say so myself, cadres like yours always make for the most interesting stories.
Yes, if you stick with us tomorrow, I'm sure you'll have plenty of things to write about.
I'll be with you all the way through the festival. Maybe even farther if it suits your plans. After all, should you be Dame by the end of the 10-day, you will need somebody to help you, collect all of your future adventures. Make sure that history does not forget your great deeds.
I'll make sure there's a seat next to me at the banquet. Just for you.
He'll nod.
And I'll be providing my name later.
Turkey legs.
Radishana Lanahan, I'm going to say, pointing to...
As I was about to say before I was rudely interrupted, I will provide you with my name later. You can write down whatever you want now, but I will help you when it's time to edit your work.
That's fine. Of course, everyone can give me notes, although I must say, Ranashana Lanahama really does roll off the tongue. He's writing it down as he said.
If you would like to write that much, use that much ink on your pages, you go right ahead, but it's not correct.
We'll use it as a placeholder.
It is what you're known as around here.
It is.
As Drosophilum says that, the serving person comes by with some drinks and drops one in front of Ranashan and says, Lanahama, walks away.
Right here.
Wow, it's even catching on. You're becoming quite well known around here.
I am seething under the feigned expression of not caring anymore.
I've never had a player just jack another player's identity and fuck it over in game before. It's hilarious.
Pretty funny.
Happens when
I'll
you're
go with
afraid,
it.
yeah.
I'll go with it.
All right. So after the story, Edric, you wanted to do something before the evening ended as well, it seemed?
Yes. I would, Drosophilum, I think I have something you might be interested in to help me out with.
Oh? What might that be?
Come on, and I shall tell you. Follow me. I'm gonna get up and start walking towards, and I'll say over my shoulder, don't worry, I'll sign us up for all of the events. I'll go start heading towards the sign-up area.
Sure. There is a master of games. He's got a big, wide-brimmed hat and kind of like overdone clothing. As the two of them get up and head that way out in the courtyard, you would see Pate rushing past them and sitting down with a single clay jar. I found some grease.
Excellent work, Pate. I think that's earned you a turkey leg. I'll slap one down in front of him.
He starts eating it, and as he's eating it, he looks at you with a full mouth. I don't want to be a grease pig.
Oh, that's okay, Pate. That was just a little bit of a motivator.
And then he stops and he looks at you and he says, if we really want to train, we should actually make it Dro or Edric. They're both a lot slippery than me.
That's a good point. Something tells me Josephillum will be up for that.
Also, if I'm all greased up, I can't make sure your armor's straightened and everything like that.
That is true, and I do need you to do that. Well, then it's settled, Pate. You've saved yourself a cruel fate today.
He goes back to just mack it down on the turkey leg. All right,
tomorrow's a new day, and I'll click mouse with Ranishon.
He just lets out the deepest sigh of sadness because being a squire sucks. All right, cutting to the two of you as you head to the table.
So yeah, I'll sign us up, and I also want to get a look at the other teams that have signed up.
Sure.
And particularly just note their names and what events they have signed up for.
So you just register your team name and how many members you have, and then each of the 3 days that the festival lasts, there's different events going on. It looks like, depending on the event, you enter a certain at the least amount 1, and at the most like 6 people. So like, the first day's events are. The first day's events are arm wrestling, the greased pig catch. There is a hedge maze, and there is a obstacle course. And then for the group games, where you enter like your whole team, there is the log toss and the pie eating contest. And then the big event at the end of the first day, which people just enter on their own. They have to be on a registered team, but you even compete against each other in most of these. The big, unless it says otherwise, but the big event is the archery contest.
Cool. So yeah, next thing I want to do is find a bookie or somebody taking bets on the event.
Okay, why don't you and Drosophilum make perception tests for me? The target number for this is going to be a 10.
10? Damn, I can barely make a 10.
Don't forget about momentum.
How good are you at perception tests, Drosophilum?
I'm okay.
I'll use momentum for myself.
Dro, you want some momentum as well?
No.
Okay.
Hey! Good thing I used momentum, because I got a 7.
Yeah, that is a good thing.
I also got a 7, but I don't have momentum.
Dro, you do a great job of acting like you're looking for whatever he's looking for, but you have no idea what he's looking for. But like you really you're looking, you know? You do actually find some people who are taking some bets. You immediately recognize that this is not a legal proceedings. There are none of the knights are here, but clearly some like squires and other servants have been sent to place bets on teams. Just so you know, your team is currently holding a 5-1. So whatever you place, if your team ends up coming out as the number one team overall, in we'll just say it's points across all the events of the 3 days, you'll make 5 times what you place.
Okay. Are they also taking bets on the individual games?
Yes, they are taking bets on things like you could bet on yourself on like the archery contest and that kind of thing.
So, I would like to bet 1 gold on us for the overall event.
Okay.
And then I would like to look at who has the best odds of winning some of the more major events, probably like the archery contest. Let's see, the obstacle course maybe, and the pie eating contest. And I'd like to find out who has like the best odds at those, and then I'd like to bet on somebody kind of lower in the pack. But then I would like to go sabotage the people that are ranked above them tonight.
So the pie eating contest, the obstacle course, anything else?
Archery contest. And maybe arm wrestling. I guess both the arm wrestling and the obstacle course and the pie eating contest, poisoning their food with, something that'll make them sick should help lower their odds.
Yeah, so you find that House Bathurst is currently like the odds favorite for the pie eating contest. And for the obstacle course, check how I design that one. The obstacle course is just single contestants. So there is a knight. There's a knight from House Cameron, who's the favorite for the obstacle course. His name is let's go with Charles. Charles.
I like Charles better.
Well, it's Charles. There is a favorite for the archery contest. It is Galdrick Glenn.
Lady Seraphina's love interest.
I'm his love interest, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And
Same difference.
And there's a favorite for the arm wrestling contest. His name is Percival. He's from House Neville.
Okay. I will place 2 silver swords on each of the people underneath those people.
Okay.
And then I would like to go.
So basically, your plan is to sabotage all the top people.
I'm sabotaging the favorites. Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
So, Joseph Phillip, I think you might be able to help me with this.
With what?
Do you have something that you could slip in somebody's food that would make them violently ill the next day? But not like kill them. We don't want to hurt anybody long term.
No.
Do you know of something that might be able to do that?
Well, I mean, I'm sure we could find some dangerous plants, but I can't guarantee anybody will wake up if we use those.
It's a risk I'm willing to take. We'll use small doses.
I don't normally kill people.
We don't want to kill them. We'll go with some of the non-deadliest plants that we can find.
Does this say you're going with me on a walk through the woods?
Yes.
I'm gonna link arms with you.
Okay.
All right, heading into the woods, looking for plants that you can
I'm
use.
sure there's some like mushrooms or something.
Poison, yeah, poison these people. Go ahead and make a. Make a. Trying to decide how many tests I want to do. Just make a natural sciences test. It's going to be against a target number of 10.
And I can barely pass that one too.
You can use more momentum.
And how are you at natural science tests, Chris?
Right now, I'm an 8.
Oh,
You should have brought Pate with you.
we'll just roll. We'll see.
Pate's really motivated.
Oh, 3.
Yeah, Pate would have been great for this mission.
Is he good at natural sciences?
He's
He's good at making you good at anything.
Yeah, but
Oh.
he also has alchemist features, doesn't he?
Oh, that's true, yeah.
So he is actually really good at natural sciences.
I think he's also probably has moral compass.
Yeah, he definitely would not do this, especially to Galdrick. Also, Pate would know that if you get caught trying to poison anybody from a royal house, like you're going to be entering a combat, and I'm going to probably be killing you. So, like,
Sure.
Pate probably
Pate
wouldn't
does not want
participate because he's a
Galdrick,
coward.
I'm not planning on poisoning. I'm planning on fucking with his bow.
Sure. I mean, he'll probably try to kill you for that too, just so you're aware. Like,
Yes,
all
sir.
of these people are going to punish you by killing you because you're a peasant. So you're not.
Yes,
you're
sir.
you're
Yes,
fucking
sir.
with some hardcore people right now.
Yes, sir.
Did you roll, Dro?
I did. I got an 8.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys find some random mushrooms. I'll say that you're pretty sure that they will act as a poison, but you have no idea if this is going to kill somebody or not.
This will probably make him sick. If not kill
It's
them.
it's going to make them sick. You have no idea how bad it's going to be.
They might wake up. They might not.
So we use small events.
I don't know that it really matters how much we use.
Well, I mean, I heard an alchemist say once that everything is a poison if you give them a high enough dose.
Well, that's true. We should probably use extra then.
I feel like Josh is heard a nurse say that.
I've said that to people before as a nurse.
Well, with that logic, I'm not sure if this is enough of these mushrooms then.
Well, you said we don't want to kill anybody. We just want to make them not perform their best tomorrow.
Well, they won't feel well if you feed them these.
That's good to know. It's good to know.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll take those back to the tavern.
Okay.
Are any of those favorites there?
Yeah, pretty much everyone's partying here this night. Galdrick and his people have their own long table. There's House Bathurst, which you're now realizing these people run on like the really big side, which is probably why they're like the piting contest favorites. They're like feasting away. It takes you a little bit of time, but you're able to figure out who Charles is, as well as Percival from House Neville, who's just got massive fucking shredded forearms.
Storytelling contest for him, I think.
Yeah.
Wow. Sure. Yeah, he might do that too, but he
Someone's
is
been trained in an opening.
the favorite in the arm wrestling.
He's been training to open a lot of books. Yeah, I'll just take. I'll very finely chop up
Sure.
and like grind some of these mushrooms, and then whichever ones that Drosophil tells me are probably the least likely to kill people.
Okay.
Because, like I said, I don't want to kill anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
And then I'll just, throughout the night, I will try to find some opportunities to sprinkle just a little bit on food that's headed for their table.
Okay. Let's start with House Bathurst, because they're constantly getting past food, so they will be the easiest.
Okay.
So that's going to be a sleight of hand test against a target number of 4.
Target number
you auto pass
4. I auto pass that.
Yeah. Okay. So you managed to slip the powdered mushrooms into some of their bowls of large soup bowls that are heading to their table. Who would you like to target next? There's Charles.
So that was Percival?
That was House Bathurst, which is the pie eating contest.
Gotcha.
There's Percival still, which is arm wrestling. There's Charles still, which is the obstacle course. And then there's Galdrick, which is the archery contest.
Let's go for Percival next.
Okay. That is going to be a target number of 8 for sleight of hand. Do you auto pass that too?
I have 3 ranks, so I
think you did.
You auto pass 9.
Yeah, you auto pass 9. So, yeah, you also managed to successfully slip some poison into Percival's. And next is the obstacle course, which is Charles. That is going to be a target number of 12.
Okay. I do have a feature. Does he count as a local authority?
He sure does. All of these people do.
These are easy for me due to my criminal intent.
That will drop it to a 9, and you'll auto pass it.
Hell yeah.
You'll auto pass it.
Being a criminal does pay.
Right?
That just leaves Galdrick as far as poisonings go.
I don't want to poison Galdrick.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to poison a royal. That seems a little too risky. I would like to find where
you have already poisoned a few royals, just so you know.
I thought they were just nobles.
I'll point that out as you come back.
You have poisoned prominent members of 3 houses now.
That's okay.
Someone has to.
Right?
At the very least, you have gotten everybody who runs this establishment killed. So.
No, it's just some food poisoning. It's fine.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
You have gotten people killed for sure, even if they just get sick. All right, so you've passed these out. There's no immediate effects. Are you sticking around to see what happens?
Oh, hell no.
Okay, so you head to the longhouse to pass out early. Is anybody else staying to drink and eat through the night?
I mean, Seraphine is going to just go around schmooze. She's not going to drink a lot, but she's going to schmooze. She's going to tell stories. She's going to make her presence known.
I got to make some rolls to see how well people resist this.
I think they'll be fine. It's just mystery mushrooms.
Right?
Yeah, what's the worst that can happen?
Small doses of mystery mushrooms.
They'll barf a little. They'll see God.
For those of you that stay,
We'll seek.
Things get pretty messy in the tavern. First, House Bathurst members basically across the board start projectile vomiting. They cannot stop. Multiple of them pass out. Charles and Percival follow suit, and people start to clear out of the tavern as they realize that this tavern is not serving healthy food. Monks are being sent from the outer edges of the village in to basically try to provide medicinal care to these people. They actually start asking people to leave. So you guys find yourselves like being actively pushed off of your table. Like, you should get out of here, head back to your longhouse, stay there. There is an illness going through.
Are Ranishon and I in this tavern?
Unless you left early.
Oh. I mean, I would stop and, say that I will help in any way. that
Yeah.
I can.
The monks are like, that is very noble of you, lady, but in this situation, it would be better that you leave before you start presenting symptoms as well.
Yes, I think it is better that we leave. And I'm gonna like kind of come up to you and kind of like put one arm kind of not around you, but like next to you, and then gesture like we should go out the door.
Sure, yeah. I'll grab a couple stragglers, just people that are kind of lingering too much, and I'll usher them to the exit as well.
Are you guys heading to the longhouse?
Yeah, I should probably
Okay.
sleep.
Edric, did you actually head to the longhouse?
No, I went to go find, see if I could find where Galdric kept his equipment.
Yeah, sure. You're able to piece out through the different house flags which longhouse that they are at. There are a couple knights patrolling outside of this longhouse, and there's definitely some people in it, but it's probably where his stuff is stored.
Okay.
You know you're going to need to get inside and then be able to search around for it.
With the points I got, I did take case and infiltrate. What does that do for me again?
I think you can spend time to not have to roll, or get like an auto roll.
Perception rolls to case a building or fortification. You can take 1 hour to stake out the location instead of rolling your skill roll. If I do, I automatically learn the following details: understand the essential functions of the location's security defenses, including number of guards, basic patrol patterns, if there's any magical or technological security systems, unless they have traits that make them hidden from my vision types, any entrances or exits, any less noticeable weaknesses that I may allow infiltration, and you may note any additional details I pick up directly to the location or behaviors of those within it that I am watching. And sometimes some details are more difficult to notice, and then you'd ask for a perception check. If that happens, the roll is easy. And once I do that, stealth checks I make within the location are considered easy for the next 24 hours. That was a lot.
That's pretty good, though.
What was the roll enhancement?
The roll enhancement? The very end where stealth
No, at
checks
the
are...
beginning.
Oh,
When
I
you make a
spend...
perception test.
When making perception rolls to case a building or fortification that contains your target, I can take 1 hour to stake out the location instead of rolling.
So that's fine, because it took probably like about an hour for the symptoms to start presenting. So you could have been casing while that leading up to the chaos erupting in the fucking. So there's 2 guards on the outside patrolling. There's a main entrance that's at the center of the front of the longhouse. It's like a big double door entrance. There's also a back door entrance on the other side of the longhouse. You know this because one of the indoor guards, you can tell that there's probably 3 or 4 guards inside of the building. These guys aren't actively on guard duty. They're fellow knights, basically, that have come with him. One of them steps out and takes a piss on the grass and then goes back inside. There's no secret entrances. Also, these buildings don't have any technological fortifications or magical enchantments or anything like that. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
You have an easy stealth check to get inside.
Is there any windows or anything I could sneak through?
There are windows you could probably try to sneak through. Well, yeah, there are windows you could try to sneak through, for sure. There aren't glass windows. There's a couple square openings that you could pull yourself through to get inside.
Is it dim light or darkness in there?
It's dim light around it, and it looks like it's currently dim light inside of it as well.
Sweet. Sweet, that means I get an extra +3 bonus to stealth rolls. Well, because of my lurker feature.
Good at thieving.
I am good at thieving. Yeah, I'll see if I can sneak in through window.
All right, go ahead and make your stealth test. In this case, you would roll twice and keep the higher.
That is a 10 on the first one and a 13 on the second.
All right. You bypass the 2 guards on the outside and you manage to pull yourself through the window and land quietly. I'm assuming that you've pulled up your cowl and pulled a mask over your face.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. That way if anybody sees me and I manage to get away, they don't know it's me later.
Looking around the longhouse, you can see some bunk beds and tables set up, and you do see what looks like a large iron-banded weapon case that is locked by a large chain that's been wrapped around it and padlocked closed.
I imagine that's where they're keeping the bow.
You feel like Galdrick Glynn's stuff is probably in here, because this is clearly the most fortified container in the entire. It's one big room, so you're kind of braced between these bunks as one of the indoor guards is walking back and forth, and you can see it across from you on the other side of the room.
Do I think I could get to it without being noticed?
Yeah. I mean, you're pretty stealthy.
Okay.
There's always a chance of getting caught. So
right.
You still have it. You still have the advantage, and you still have the +3 because it's dimly lit inside as well.
Okay. Yeah, I'll try and stealth my way over to the container.
All right.
That is 13 on the first roll and 16 on the second one.
Yeah, you move up to the container. None of the indoor guards have noticed you. At this point, as you're moving to pick the container, you hear some shouting from the bottom of the hill of the longhouse. And when you peek out the window over the container, you can see Galdrick and his 2 personal guards. They're marching back up the hill towards the door, talking about how a bunch of people have gotten violently ill in the tavern.
Make a mental note that hopefully that was the right dose, and we'll try to quickly pick the lock on the chest here.
Go ahead.
While in dim light, I also ignore steps or difficulty when in dim light for sleight of hand checks. So I don't.
Yeah, so it's not going to be difficult. So basically, I can't make this difficult. The target number to pick this lock is 12.
To use momentum to auto pass it.
What are you going to do?
Got a pretty good chance of passing that normally, right?
I do. I roll 2d10 and add 2 to it. Oh, and actually, it'd be easy because it's a sleight of hand against local authorities, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So it'd go down to a 9 anyway.
Yeah, okay. So you pick the lock and you open it. Inside there is a masterwork crafted longsword, a shield with a family crest, what looks like a fairly sizable coin purse, and basically the most fancy longbow you have ever seen.
I would like to try to...
Chris.
How would I like to do this?
As you're trying to decide this, you can hear... No.
Oh, okay.
He's by himself now. As this is happening, you can hear Galdrick coming up to the door, and they're about to come inside. So you need to decide what you're going to do fast.
Okay, I'm just going to real quick cut some tiny notches along the back of the bow near, so that it might snap when he draws it back, if he draws it back too hard.
Sure.
But I want to make them small enough to not really be that noticeable.
Okay, make a mechanics test for me. Target number of 8.
8 mechanics. I can pass that. So
You can use momentum also.
No, I don't want to use up all of our momentum. If I don't get a good idea of how if I think I can actually pull this off, I'm not even going to attempt it. 5.
Yeah. So you try to mark some notches, but you're not sure if they're going to work or not. As that happens, Galdrick comes through the door. I need you to make a stealth test for me. I'm going to use momentum on this one.
Uh-oh. We're both rolling twice.
Yep.
And 16.
So you shift back to the window, and as you do, you hear Galdrick say, "Thief!" You jump out the window door, and you hear Galdrick shouting as you move down the hill, "Give me my bow!" And then I need you to make a dodge test for me.
9.
You take 5 points of piercing damage.
I'm dead.
And you drop to the ground in the field.
Yes.
Galdrick walks out the back door with the bow in his hand. Interesting. As you're struggling to breathe in the darkness, you hear him say, "Collect that body." And that's where we're going to take our break.
Oh, shit.
So,
Come here.
at the House Ashmore Longhouse, how's everybody doing? It seems as though everyone has arrived here, but Edric, at this point.
Fantastic. I'm telling a story to Beat to put in his book.
There is a considerable amount of chaos outside in the village. There's a lot of shouting and stuff going on in or around the tavern. As all of you have arrived and you're telling Bede this story to put in the book and stuff, Corin kind of gives you a questioning look. Seraphina, did something happen down there?
Yes, it seems there was a sudden bout of illness at the tavern. They told us to get out as soon as we could.
He squints and he rushes to one of the square windows, kind of leaning out under the thatched roof that would close over it. And he says, "Interesting. Was it specific houses?"
I'll list all the houses that I saw projectile vomiting.
He'll nod. "So, 3 of the 12. And only at their tables." He'll turn to you, and as he does, he'll close the window behind him. "Pate, you will be trying all of the lady's food before she eats for the remainder of our time here." He looks up nervously and...
That's a good idea.
Don't worry, Pate. I'm sure it will be fine. Plus, you'll get to try my food.
Yeah, I guess that's a good thing.
Sounded perfectly entitled.
Just a little bit, yeah.
Well, I suppose there's a second option. I'm sure we can find a peasant that's starved for food that will agree to do it for a small recompensance on our part. Some copper.
Well, I suppose we'll leave it up to Pate.
I think we should do that.
Well, Pate has spoken.
I wouldn't mind trying the food, though.
Oh,
Just after they've tried the food. Like, I'll be like the second test.
I like the way you think, Pate.
Twofold, and
Never
my
hurts
lady.
to have a second layer of security.
Twofold.
Speaking of security, has anyone seen Edric? I assumed he'd be back here by now.
Oh, we went on a walk through the woods, and then he had important business to take care of.
Oh.
I'm not sure what it was, he didn't say.
A walk through the woods?
Yes. He was suddenly interested in various fungus.
Why?
Perhaps dabbling in
I don't
alchemy.
know. I love the woods and I wanted to show him around.
I'm trying to decide if this should be a deception test or not, because I feel like legitimately your character
Might not know.
might not understand. Well, he has to have on some level because he asked you about like what the effects would be. I feel like you have to roll a deception test here. It's going to be against Corin's insight. Don't forget you can use momentum. Give it to me so I can use it on Josh in a little bit.
Yeah, to kill me again.
Yeah, wait a minute.
More.
10. I have a +1 to bluff, so 11.
That beat him. Corin will nod. Interesting. My lady, again, I would recommend you reconsider some of the friends you're making.
Well, I try to make friends with everyone. Corin, you understand that.
Corin walks across the other side of the door and he looks out the other window. Courtyard will definitely be abuzz in the morning. He turns back and he looks at the group and he says, "It will be interesting to have a Matron's Day festival start with a hanging body."
There's going to be a hanging body?
You can't let 3 lords and a bunch of knights in your village get poisoned. That cook is toast. Whoever was in there that night will be lifeless in the courtyard by dawn.
That is quite unfortunate.
It's rough.
I'm
I'm glad
sure.
we didn't get into
Seraphina,
that.
just for context, like the moment that many important people started getting violently ill, you knew somebody was fucking hanging in the courtyard in the morning too.
Oh yeah. Yeah. She's been kind of grimly contemplating what's about to happen.
Like you hang peasants for like less than that.
Oh yeah.
At this time period, so like people were dying over this.
Well, I suppose I'd like to think that it was a simple accident, although from the perspective of the nobles, or from the perspective of the houses whose important people were poisoned, I suppose it doesn't matter. But there is always the possibility that it was intentional, a sabotage of some kind.
There's usually some untoward betting going on at these festivals for the games. No doubt the money that could be made was linked to it. Needless to say, unless they can find a way to prove that the cook did it, he'll just be hung. He should be hoping to God they don't find a way to prove he did do it. They'll put him in a pit and let the dogs eat him.
Do I know of any of the houses that might do something like this? Like, have there ever been any houses that have like tried stuff like this before?
Oh yeah. Every house has murdered other nobles and stuff.
Oh.
This is analogous to like the real medieval times. So these 12 kingdoms, there's been this piece that you guys have heard Bede building up because he's a storyteller. But like, don't get it wrong, like twisted. Like the balance is always ready to tip in a direction. Then violence can always happen. All of these people are looking for ways to gain power through negotiation or combat. Like every single one of these kingdoms wants to be the kingdom, and a lot of them probably want to be like the only kingdom.
Is there anything hinging on this jousting tournament or the tournament in general?
Well, the jousting tournament is important because only one person at the end of the joust is getting knighted, and every house has sent something.
And every house probably wants
so like
theirs to get
like
knighted.
Yeah, like you're like Galdrick is friendly with you. If he loses in the joust to you, he's gonna have to go home and answer to his dad for losing to a woman in a fucking joust. So like don't get it, like this is really serious for everybody for sure.
Oh yeah. Yeah, she'll kind of like straighten her posture and she'll say, if this was indeed sabotage, this is rather serious. It's not, I've seen this before, though not quite in this exact way. But yes, someone will be made to pay for this. I would like to think that it is one of the houses trying to sabotage their way to victory so that their house can gain another knight. But which one I cannot be sure, as they've all done some rather unsavory things in the past.
Corin nods his head. There are enemies on all sides, no doubt. This feels different somehow. Either way, we should all get some rest. I know all of you have just recently met, but you have walked yourself into a rather serious situation. These squad games, now that you've entered them, are also going to be something that our family name is measured by. Serafina will be counting on all of you to perform well.
That's right. I'll need all of your help to make sure that my house's name is not slandered on such a day.
Well, I will do the best of my ability to help.
As will I. I think that there's a vested interest in keeping the House Ashmore in good standing.
And there will be more than just a day of victory as reward for you. I will see to it myself.
I just don't want to be the first food taster.
I think that could be arranged, Pete.
Cool.
Tomorrow's a brand new day, after all.
And as she says that, we cut to Josh's bloody face as he is awoken when a pail of cold piss and shit is tossed over his head.
And it has to have been sitting there for a while to get cold.
That's how that works. You are outside the back door of the far longhouse that the Glyns are occupying. They have tied you down to a chair. You're at 1 health because they have patched your wound roughly so that you can survive long enough to talk at least. Your hands are tied behind your back to the back of the chair, your ankles to the bottom of the chair. Galdrick sits across from you. He's got the chair turned so his arm is leaned over the back of it, and he rubs his beard. I recognize you. You were one of those that were standing with Serafina in the square.
Yes, I made her acquaintance earlier today.
Yes, your name's on the squad list as well.
Yes, she seems to have taken a liking to me after we saved some children from some wolves earlier.
Yeah, that sounds like Serafina. She has a way of making friends with everybody. Really outgoing.
Yes, she does seem to like to be the center of attention.
I've conversed with those that I know while I've been letting you rest for a little bit. And no one seems to know who you are, Edric. From around here?
No,
Or just passing through for the festival, maybe?
well, passing through. The festival just happened to be going on at the same time.
He leans his other gauntlet over the back of the chair, and he lets a scroll unfold in front of you. It's the book he lists. So, tell me about these bets you've placed.
I bet on the runner-ups, the second favorites, and
then you poisoned the first favorites?
not you.
I did notice that, though I have a feeling the unwise notches in my favorite bow may have been some kind of vain attempt at sabotaging it.
Unfortunately, yeah.
He'll nod. And then he'll kind of turn the scroll up. I've taken the liberty of notifying the bookie that I own all of your bets now. Hope you don't mind.
Well, that seems more than fair.
Agreed. But the question becomes, what to do with you?
Well, you could kill me, or you could try and make use of my talents.
Yes. You know, I was thinking something along those lines. So, as I've noticed that you're on Seraphina's squad, as much as I'd enjoy spending part of the morning tomorrow watching the poisoner be torn apart alive by dogs with other lords and ladies, I'm thinking I might just give you a second chance. I wouldn't want to see her not have a chance at the festival after all. We've been friends for quite a long time.
I do believe everybody deserves a second chance.
He'll nod. So here's what we'll do. The festival occurs over the next 3 days, ending at the feast. I'm going to let you leave so you can help her. And in return, you're going to bring to my man... He reaches back to one of the large knights behind him and pats his shoulder a little bit. Brandon, you're going to bring him 10 silver swords at the end of each of the festival days. I'm sure you can find a way to collect that from the crowds and the other participants.
Shouldn't be too challenging.
Good. And on the night of the festival banquet, I need you to bring me something else. You see, the good lady and her knight Corin will be traveling with sets of papers, writs of passage, printed by their lord. They should each have their own. I need you to bring me one of them. You have the next 3 days and 2 nights to collect it for me.
I know the significance of what he's talking about.
You would, because if a knight stops a person that they don't recognize in the territory of in a territory of one of these kingdoms during peacetime, and they're traveling under a writ of passage that's stamped by one of the kings, they can go on their way.
So he's essentially asking for me to get a paper that if anybody were to find them, they could be killed?
No. The reason why that's important is because then he can give his agents paperwork that says that they're agents of her family instead, and they can get around wherever they want to go.
Gotcha.
These documents are the things that are only killed by are only carried by direct members of these kings' families and their most important agents.
Okay.
Is
So
one of them
probably
enough to get a group of people through?
Yes,
Yeah.
because you can say that you're the representative and present this writ of passage,
They're
and
under
then you
your
and your
command.
people can go. Now, these writs of passage aren't going to cover an entire army of people, but you and Corin are each traveling with one because each of you always has one. So if he takes one, you guys can still travel around. However, just for the
You need
record,
to stick together.
yes, and just for the record, you're not. It's like once it's noticed that one of these are gone, it's going to be a big problem for the two.
Oh yeah.
Of you. So,
Oh yeah.
I imagine he could probably start a war doing something like that if he had some nefarious purposes in mind, yeah?
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
He could definitely use one of those to start a war.
Really?
He could also use one. He could also use one of those to get an assassin into a player.
Yeah.
Much
Which,
more
I mean,
easily.
could start a war.
Could start a war
Using their rite of passage if
Yep.
they're linked together.
If he targets a third party, he could
Yeah,
get them in a war with another country. 100%.
Yeah.
This is the session where you guys are in the book and you realize you're not in classic fantasy. You're in fucking Game of Thrones. So,
well, seeing as how my options are steal that or die, I think I'll.
You ripped apart by dogs.
I mean, that's just a terrible way to die, but it's still death.
He'll nod. And in fact, when you present that writ to me at the banquet, I want you to know that I will be very pleased with your work. You'll be receiving compensation as well. Far better than you got from these foolish bets you place.
That just sealed the deal. Not that I wasn't sealed before, but definitely sealed now.
He'll nod. I'm going to have them untie you and they'll walk you to the creek to freshen up, and then you can head back to your longhouse.
Pleasure doing business with you.
You'll have to explain the injury to them. As he stands up, he suddenly tenses his body, and in one quick, powerful motion, he kicks his boot through the chair, shattering it. And Edric, if you ever try to cross me again, I'll let my dogs rip you apart.
Noted.
He waves his glove and he turns. I need to get some rest. And he walks inside his longhouse. A few minutes later, each of you hear a couple voices from the guards outside, and then the doors open, and a what appears to be damp but clean, extremely pained, kind of doubled over to the front. You've got a blanket that they provided, like wrapped up over you. They took all your things, by the way. So you just basically came back in a tunic and pants. You have no shorts. They took all your knives. They took any personal possessions on you. They didn't give you anything back.
Ew.
So you're basically walking in with this coat over you, and you're just like shivering. I will say that he told you that you would get your things back upon getting the writ on the banquet night as well. Because I forgot that, and that was one of the things I wrote on the sticky note that I was furiously writing on during the break.
Mm-hmm.
But you know that you're going to get your personal belongings back, but they definitely made it harder for you.
Right.
What you feel like was happening was he was making sure he was putting pressure on you from multiple angles of leverage, because he might not 100% know for sure what will make sure you do this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyways,
Are we all still up?
yeah, you guys were still chatting. He looks like severely injured. He's like shaking, like he's got a fever going on. You can see the bloody like bandages kind of like bleeding through the chest part of the tunic a little bit.
Edric, what happened to you?
Well, I ran across a very unsavory sort. It's not often people can get the drop on me. I guess I let my guard down.
Goodness. Well, lie down over here. I'll get you some water.
I'll go lie down.
I would offer to look over.
Pete will actually, in this moment, he will kind of step up in like a way he doesn't usually, and he'll start applying a healing poultice, which after 10 minutes will put you at 2 health.
Okay, cool. That puts me at 12 health.
I feel like you should have some kind of temporary flaw because of this wound, though, so you maybe expect me to like give you something like that by the time of the next playtest. Like the next time we play, I think I might give you like a temporary flaw for a day or two while you heal from this.
Okay. Fair enough.
won't be super crazy. It'll probably just be like a slightly more difficult on certain rolls or something.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Well, I'm glad you're mostly in one piece, at least.
Lots of strange things happening tonight.
What else strange happened?
A rash of possible poisonings. I don't know. They're making a hanging block, so when the sun rises in a few hours, we'll know who did it.
Sure it's not just an illness. Should we be worried?
Corin shakes his head. I wouldn't have the knowledge. But I'll tell you something. We tend to think in worst-case scenarios. We should all be moving into the next few days at this festival carefully.
Might be a good idea to avoid eating any of the food provided here.
I was thinking that I might send my squire at least tomorrow with a cart we hire to get some supplies from somewhere nearby.
Might be a good idea to do some hunting as well. Do they allow hunting near here?
Well, there will be a stag hunt. I think as long as you don't take any of the moose.
Or the pigs.
You've been taught how to catch eel from the rivers.
I could go for some eel.
All the rivers in this area of Karth have eels in them at this time. So it's like a pretty common, like, go-to survivalist meal. Do you guys remember with your other characters, they found that stand that was selling like the class, classic eel stew. That classic eel stew is like a common meal at this time period. This time period is why they call that classic eel stew.
Makes sense.
I offer to look over the wound while he's bandaging it.
What do you want to do?
I just want to make a natural science roll to see what happened exactly, for myself, even no matter what he tells us.
You could actually do natural sciences or formal sciences for that, I'd say. Because you could apply your knowledge of biology with natural sciences, or you could apply forensic knowledge with formal sciences in this case. I think.
I'm gonna tell Pate to tend to his wounds as best as he can, and I'm gonna go find Edric some better clothes.
Yeah, I mean you probably have the equivalent of the light leather gear that he was wearing.
Oh, just lying around for hunting and stuff.
Yeah, with one of your knights that they could let him borrow, that would give him armor again.
Yeah, I'll do that. Find him some nicer clothes too to put underneath.
There's also probably some daggers you could collect for him and stuff, just because you know that he needs stuff at this point.
Found this butter knife for you. This will have to do.
Well, the knights probably wouldn't want to give up their boot knives because they need those in sword fights. But they probably all have a few daggers that they just fucking have. So you could probably get 6 of them from between the knights and stuff.
Okay.
I'm gonna eat on my formal sciences roll.
It looks like he got shot through.
Okay.
It looks like to you the back through the chest with an arrow.
Okay. I'm gonna kind of look down at him and kind of put my hand in my chin in my hand and say, well, what were you trying to take from these unsavory folk?
I said I was trying to take anything.
Well, you got shot from behind. Tell me
that's usually where people jump you from, is from behind. It's a lot easier to miss somebody behind you than it is in front of you. I gotta tell you, when I was trained to be a thief, I was told you approach him from behind.
All right.
I do. Corin nods. I do agree with that, in the sense that generally there will be a backman, especially if you're traveling on the road, and they will ambush you from behind. They'll usually have an archer behind a tree or a rock. The real question is, why are you wandering through woods and down roads at night all the time? Your friend Drosophilum says you collected some mushrooms?
Aye.
And then Corin's gonna squint. Were you perhaps partaking of some untoward activity that would look bad on the lady?
Never.
So what were the mushrooms for?
Well, I can attest to that, actually, Corin. I did ask him to collect some of the local mushrooms. I was told by Drosophilum that this area has quite a lot of natural things that are quite delicious.
Did that actually happen in an earlier session?
I don't know, I don't think so.
I think so.
No? Okay. For some reason, I do feel like I remember Drosophilum recommending to somebody that they just go eat mushrooms out of the forest or something like that.
He probably did.
But
I
I
did say
would
that
not
at
put
some
that past
point.
me.
make a
Don't put that
deception
past me.
test. It's contested. So if you make it easy somehow, you're just rolling twice.
I don't think I can, but let me see.
You've tricked him before, so...
Oh, sure. Okay. Persuasion and intimidation rolls are easy. You need to make a persuasion roll to receive aid from people of your same culture. Okay. No, I don't think I have anything for bluff
All right.
checks. It's a 5.
He'll nod his head at you and say, interesting. That's all he says in response. He just leans back against the wall. I'm going to leave an extra guard on watch tonight.
Probably for the best. And as far as the mushrooms, Edric, I would say don't worry about them.
Oh, they're gone now.
He walks. He starts to walk farther away from all of you to the other side of the longhouse, and as he does, he'll just nod his head and take off his and start like doffing his gear. We should all get some rest. And he basically is taking off of his like plates and stuff and getting ready to go to bed.
I'll start doing the same. I'll have Pate help me.
Yes, I need to try these beds out. It sounds fascinating.
I look up from the book that I'm kind of just staring at, and maybe like marking a couple notes down and say, I mean, you didn't make beds even in the forest. Did you sleep on the ground?
Where else does one sleep?
On a bed on the ground.
Tree branches.
Or in a tree.
Or
On a
on a
rock.
tree.
That doesn't sound right. Have any of you actually lived in the forest?
I've had to spend some nights in the forest.
I've camped.
I usually prefer up in a tree. No chance of wildlife eating you in your sleep. Well, less chance of wildlife eating you in your sleep.
That's fair, I guess.
Well, I did have Pate bring in a considerable pile of fresh leaves from outside. I've placed them on one of the beds. You can
Thank you very much.
arrange them however you will.
I will do just that. See you in the morning. Oh, and Bede, I will finish my story since it was rudely interrupted by all of this.
He's like got the book. He's been like taking notes this whole time, just listening.
Yeah.
Just
nobody remembered he was there till this moment.
Taking notes this whole time, listening, and he just nods his head and says, "Oh yes, I've left some space."
Perfect.
Bede, there's a bed here for you as well.
Oh yeah, yes. And he points to one of the beds that he just like already put his stuff on that looked empty.
Perfect. Well, let's get you off to bed too, Edric. You'll need your rest.
Yes, I'm feeling quite worn out.
Here, let me help you. I'll give you my arm.
Yeah, I'll take it and go to whatever bed is mine.
Yeah. They're just gonna, you're in a bed already. I think they're just gonna like, even if that was one of the knights, like he's standing guard now because they only brought like 4 knights with them. They have some of these other cadres brought like a lot more people. But one of the reasons why there's less of them here currently is because like they're gonna like make a big show of an entrance tomorrow. This is like the group that came ahead because this is being hosted by her kingdom. So,
Gotcha.
So they like shift to the side. Basically 3 of them stays up the whole night, but none of you need to stay on watch. So it's really just about if there's anything any of you want to do before you take your long rests.
No.
Mm-mm.
I'm good.
Okay. So all of you go to eventually take your long rests. You can rest your characters. And then... session, a lot of things that I never would have planned for happened in this session. So
You're welcome.
That's tabletop, baby.
so I'm like just not at all prepped for this. This is like a full reaction one.
Love it.
Shopping session?
There's a market. There's a market that's open throughout the festival once the festival starts. So yes, technically, you guys can definitely get a shopping session out of this.
How much money do I actually like have?
Which features do you have?
So I know it changed. I have comes from money, which just says I have a healthy amount of money to help you navigate supply yourself on your journey.
You haven't taken any of the other features, and
none that would give money. No.
Okay, so that means that so you've been sent ahead, and you have currently what is like more like the amount of money that you personally have, which is still I'd say a healthy amount at this time period. So I'd say you've probably got like you're probably carrying like 1,000 gold galleons on your person right now.
Sure hope no one robs me.
You also know that, well, it's like in a chest that the knights walk around with. Yeah, I got some decent music going. You also know that Corin probably has like a few hundred galleons being held with the other guards. Sorry, I keep calling them knights. They're like guards. And then you also know that like your father and I need to pull up the doc. Didn't we have some conversations about your direct family members? Did we ever save them on anything though?
I don't know.
The inner workings of a D&D campaign. Your father and is it for some reason I feel like you just had a father, but I want to make sure I don't mess that up.
Well, My father is the current King Ashmore.
Yeah.
And my mother is from...
Oh, yes, that's right. Yeah, because, we don't need to go into that out of character.
That's not important.
Okay,
sure
so
they'll never come up again.
they're both
Sounds
coming.
important.
They're both coming in. I mean, it's not going to be like a little bit of a reveal, but it's not going to be something that's hard for your characters to notice once the family all comes in. They're both coming in, and so are your 3 brothers and your cousins, and everybody is probably going to come in, and they're going to probably like ride into a big applause, and that's going to be after the rest of the houses show up. And technically, like when you're in direct conversation having with your father, you don't really need to ask me how much money you have.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So that is just the power of the build you've made for the narrative. All right.
Of being royalty.
Sorry, that was like a quick timeout for 5 minutes so I could get some good music going. And we could make sure we were on the same page because I didn't want to forget any backstory stuff. There's a quiet, but as dawn comes and the town prepares for the last of the houses to ride in and for the festival to begin, all of you wake to a cold, kind of almost gray haze, a saturation in the sky that's kind of sunk into the village of Lambeth. In the eerie, swinging creak of chained links, the creak of wood and that cold wind as kind of this air blows in, and riding in on it is kind of this soft rainfall. The body of the kind of overweight but jolly, at least, chef that had been working that tavern, just kind of softly swinging. There was no ritual. He was just dragged out when the time came. Just a warning to anybody else in the village. The Matron's Day Festival is an important event. And how do all of you start your mornings?
I get up early. I brush my hair for a long time. I think she would start this day with a little bit of a maybe not a prayer so much as like a kind of like a hyping myself up like mantra type thing, kind of like, you know, kneeling next to my sword, kind of focusing on the power within it. And then I'll wake up Pate and make him help me with my armor, as I usually do.
As the rest of you wake, you start to see the crowd build down below. Many of the houses are arriving now. Everyone should get here ahead of the king and queen. As they arrive, and they'll ride all the way up past Lambeth to the keep on the top of the hill. All of you would know that keep is Keep Rearden. And that'll be kind of their faux their faux home for the next 3 days. Once your father and mother have occupied it, by the way, you would know that it's entirely possible for you to move your group to the keep. It's just rude to move in before they arrive. So that's why Corin secured the longhouse for now, because he wouldn't want to like overstep his bounds. So this is Rearden Keep is one of the mini keeps in your kingdom. And if they're traveling around your kingdom to different area for events, the keeps act as like temporary homes to be their like little castle umbers when they're away from Castle Umber. And when not, they're usually like occupied by somebody in the family. That kind of thing. And how are the rest of you getting ready? You can see a couple kids running by, a teenager stopping and grabbing a piece of rotted fruit and flicking it up at the body and then continuing to run off, chasing the two kids.
I'd be finishing my story to Bede for him to put in the book.
Yes, Bede also does not seem to be... Bede is a little bit more somber in the morning, but this isn't the first time Bede has seen somebody get hung for something like this happening, so... He, understands how this life works. He is probably somebody who is able to throw, a little bit more around than the average peasant because he's part of probably some... You guys can tell by the way he's dressed, he's probably part of some monastic order. Because those are the kinds of people that at this time were the bards.
Yeah, he said he came from somewhere.
Monastery somewhere.
Yeah,
so I don't think he said a name.
Yeah, I don't think he gave you guys a name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You guys could dip into him more when you have free time, but he doesn't seem closed off.
His name is spelled Bede, right?
Yeah, he's the one who wrote the book that you guys are reading with the other characters.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I had it right in my notes.
I would be for a little inner monologue. I would see things like this too. He's definitely seen people hang for things like this, but he has some unfounded suspicions based on things that happened last night, and he's just skeptical of the whole thing and kind of looks at the body and shakes his head with some pity because he thinks there's some more going on here, even though it's not found. His thoughts aren't founded in evidence, at least. But him getting back early, him not having anything, everybody getting, fucked up, and he disappeared, and he watched him steal a bunch of shit from a bunch of people earlier in the day. It's just... Hey,
you only saw me steal one knife that you know of.
I watched you fucking go from person to person when you first got to that crowd.
I do think he noticed you in the initial tavern.
I
just didn't say anything. Yeah, I think he did notice
15 to one. I watched you do it.
Okay.
He just didn't say
anything. I haven't said anything. He basically thinks...
The episode's on YouTube, so...
Yeah.
Back and watch.
It's true.
Nobody else is.
Sean basically thinks that... that there might be a connection, but that someone like him is really good to have around, and she needs people like that for what's coming, he thinks. So
fair. Save that for roleplay next time, though. All right.
Yeah.
That just leaves you, Edric. How are you getting ready?
I'm probably just having a very slow morning, kind of nursing my arm that, I imagine went through kind of my shoulder almost, right?
Yeah, it went pretty low.
Oh, did it?
It was almost into your pec. It's gonna leave a dope anime scar.
Hell yeah.
Both sides of your body.
Hell yeah. I'm probably just taking it real easy this morning. I'm gonna just kind of watch everybody getting ready while I'm slowly getting ready, particularly Lady Seraphina and Corin, to see if I notice any paperwork.
Yeah, make a perception test. Target number is 12.
Target number 12 on a perception test. Okay, I can tell you now I failed. Because I can't roll that high.
So, at least right now, as they're getting ready, you don't notice anything. You are able to track like where you're able to use this time to understand whose bags and chests and stuff are whose.
Mm-hmm.
And which guards and their names are carrying each person's things and stuff. You're also aware that each of them has a squire. Like Pate is her squire, and he's in charge. He's in charge of like her most important bag, and his squire is in charge of like his most important stuff.
So
and you're noticing that this.
Pate or Corin's squire would probably be the ones holding.
Yeah. Dude, you just gotta kill Jesse's character. You know?
Jesus.
I'm a thief. I don't want to kill anybody.
He's not here. I'm just kidding.
If you're not here, you can't roll. That's how it works.
That's true.
Just picturing myself popping up as like a little red devil on his shoulder.
So, I got 3 days, so I'm not in any rush right now.
Okay.
So,
all right, so all of you, once you're dressed and ready to go, the guards would form up, and Seraphina, do you want to you're like the receiver because you're the most direct family member. So when they're like getting off their horses and stuff, you're going to be the first person they go to. So you need to decide how you want everything displayed for when they arrive, basically. Like, do you want to be in the courtyard? The courtyard is really somber now because there's a dead body hanging there. But to be honest, like, they probably still do it in the courtyard because of, like, the people in the high society just act like that's completely normal because that's part of how the high society works.
And that's the courtyard of the keep?
No, that's not the courtyard of the keep. That's the courtyard of this like whole village. You could have them ride all the way to the keep if you wanted. The courtyard of the keep would be another place that would be a good place to receive them. You should consider letting all of the representatives of the houses know that so they can be there to receive them as well. You can have Corin do stuff like that for you if you don't want to do it yourself.
I think they should come to the village.
Okay.
So I will meet them, I guess, wherever it would normally make the most sense.
Yeah, that would be the courtyard.
I don't think she would stray too far from this.
Okay. So the tavern is preparing, and basically they've built some like wooden stands and stuff. All the other houses have arrived. The last of the houses to arrive before her house is House Bloodstone. Marked for their pale skin and their wine red hair. They ride in on their black clad armor, and you would recognize that the representative that's been sent is one of the sons of the current King Kellen II. And this son you have met before. His name is Ortho. He's large with these wide shoulders. He fills a huge set of armor, and he has a very grim face. He's actually got a fight scar that runs from where his neck disappears in his armor all the way up over his chin, and it causes like a cut to run out of his lip, so you can see where he also lost a tooth. So it's like he had somebody sink a weapon partially through the bottom line of his mouth at some point. Other than that, he's still actually the same kind of sullen-faced, but also somehow handsome man that he's been.
His name's Ortho?
Yeah. He stops those that ride with him as he passes your group, and he looks down at you. It's been a while.
It has. It's good to see you again, Ortho. You're looking well.
He slips down off of his horse, and he kind of lands with a bounce in his step. He stretches. It's been a long ride from the Golden Steppes.
I trust your journey was uninhibited?
He looks past you at the body, swinging in the wind. Less eventful than yours, unfortunately.
Yes, we had a rash of illness at the tavern last night. Unfortunately, the poor chef paid for it with his life.
He nods. He looks down, and each of you gets a moment where he makes direct eye contact with you. All of you can tell that he's a very deliberate person. He takes his time kind of taking each of you in. And as always, you have an interesting bead. Bead kind of hugs the book up. Lord Ortho.
Oh, you're acquainted.
He smiles. We've met before. Not a bad storyteller. He was a bit nervous, but we had him tied up to a very large dartboard.
Ah, I see. Well, builds character, I'm sure.
He chuckles. I'm just kidding. Bede shakes his head. I'll settle my people at one of the longhouses, and we'll be here for the receival as well.
We're very happy that you're here.
He'll nod. And it's good to see you as well, cousin.
I'll nod to him.
And he'll continue. He just kind of leads his horse, walking it, as the rest of the riders come in behind him.
Very serious man, that one.
Yes, everyone in House Bloodstone is like that to a degree. They're very serious folk, but they hold a lot of power.
Is Seraphina's hair the same color as that guy's hair?
Her hair color is a little bit more fire red, but he definitely also had red hair, like super red hair.
And I'm assuming that's not very common.
It's not. It's more common on the north side of the continent.
Which this is not the north.
This is actually pretty far north as well, but it's more like mid-continent. So you're not seeing that so much.
We're north, but we're not
north. So one of the things about House Bloodstone that you gotta understand is they're so far north that they also have, like, the seat of their kingdom is on an island that's like north of the top north part of the main continent's body, and it's one of the things that like one of the things that like the knowledgeable people know, and the people know that are like close to that area, is that like that island is like an active volcano. So these people are like up there on a volcanic island in the big bay that like opens into the North Sea.
Yeah, just told us where we need to go to destroy Jensen's sword.
Yep. I'm planting seeds. Well, you don't know if it's an active volcano in the time period of the main characters.
I mean, even
but like some of these characters now
have lava.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually really what it is it's like more like an inactive volcano. It hasn't like popped in a really long time, but it belches sometimes.
You'll probably still lose a sword in there.
Yeah. Either way, you can handle Jensen. You can push him in. All right. Back to these characters.
Sorry, bring my reaction.
You guys have some time together before they're going to show up, but everyone else has arrived at this point. And most of the other representatives have stopped to say something to you as well, but for the sake of...
I will be where I need to be.
Yeah. You do some last minute directing. Corin's doing most of the directing because that's just like the person he is. He's very, he's just like gotta get a lot of stuff done.
Would it be normal for Pate to be with me, or is he meant to stand somewhere else?
Well, I mean, like, he's standing back from you, but he's like, Pate's job is to like always be in reach of you at all times, like no matter what time of day it is.
Yeah.
Like, Pate is your go-to. He's like your, like the president's assistant. You're just constantly. He's constantly around.
Yeah, Seraphina does not like when he's not nearby. So
she's probably much nicer to Pate than Pate's got like a way better squire job than like any of the other squires in the kingdom. So
she does like Pate.
Yeah, that's like that's better than like probably more than half of them in the first place. Just like liking him is like he's probably getting better treatment. So a large cadre of more horses come in. This leads a chariot that flies the flags of your house. It rolls to a stop in front of all of you. And one of the guards pulls back the door. Your mother and father step out. Your father's still ruggedly handsome. His beard has gone completely silver, and so has much of what had once been his dark brown hair. His face kind of like flecked from years of sunlight and hard riding. He smiles and he opens his arms. He's still got wide shoulders and a good build, but he's definitely started to grow a gut. Daughter?
Father?
I've heard it's been eventful. I had a rider come out ahead late at night.
Yes, there's been much a buzz here. Everyone is preparing for the festivities in their own ways.
No doubt that priest, what is his name, Harlow, has made sure the authorities are staying on top of things. We're going to be putting some of our own servants in the tavern kitchen to help out for the event.
That would be much appreciated.
He'll look to you, and then he'll look up to the keep, and he'll smile and look back to the carriage as your mom finishes stepping out. She's got a slender frame, that same kind of pale skin, and long wine red hair. She moves and she embraces you. I'm glad to see you're all right, at least. I heard House Bathurst won't even be competing. Too sick.
Yes, rather unfortunate case of food poisoning.
Yes.
But either way, you're looking well. I hope your journey was good.
You know how I feel about long rides.
I do.
She'll chuckle. And as she releases you, she'll kind of like walk around and look at the village, and she'll say, I do enjoy when we get out to the communities at least. Oh, hello, all of you.
I'll kind of bow.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't really know how to address a queen, but
she'll just kind of smile as you awkwardly bow.
I will clasp my hands behind my back, and I will bow deeply to each of them in turn, say, my king, my queen.
What does Joseph Phillip do?
I'm just watching them bow.
I'm gonna
what's happening.
I'm gonna look up at Joseph Film and just kind of give you like a. I'm gonna do like a little like tiny bow, like looking directly at you.
Are they important?
You'll have to forgive my friend Drosophilum here. He's from a very, very far away land and is not quite used to the customs here.
Your father nods. Yes, you always pick up the most interesting folk.
Well, they have the most interesting stories, Father. As I've said, this is Drosophilum here. This one here is his grandfather, Ranishon. And over here is Patrick.
Yeah.
You at least got the name right?
Sure, you got half of it.
And then, of course, you know, Paint.
Yes. Is it great nephew Paint? I can never remember. There's honestly too. Maybe we should outlaw Pate for a while. Pate just gulps, bows. He chuckles.
Pate has been nothing short of the best squire one could ask for.
as you always report. Perhaps we'll be here a few years down the road for him in the joust.
I'll look at Pate with like the biggest, like wide-eyed, shit-eating grin. Like yes, we will. But I won't say anything to him.
Pate will nod back to you fearfully.
I'll make a night of him someday.
I bet you will. Let's focus on you for the next 3 days, though, yes? I'd very much like to see that look on your cousin's face when you're the winner at the end of the tourney.
Well, you shall see it, Father.
And I have picked out the perfect location for what will be your own home once you win this title, of course.
I can't wait to see it.
He'll not. And then he'll help your mom back into the carriage, and she'll stop and smile at you, and she'll say, yes, and your father will be fighting other people's fathers as they try to wed you to their sons over the next 3 days as well. And you hear your father groan, ugh, this happens every time.
I'll just smile at both of them.
And a wedding?
If we're lucky.
You think that's lucky?
It depends on a lot of things.
Probably the other person.
And some other things, yes.
If I look at the queen, would I guess there was a family resemblance between her and Ortho?
All of you are picking up on signs that maybe Bede's story had more details to it, for sure.
Interesting.
As you watch all of them ride away, Corin directs the guards to start moving all of your personal belongings and his to the keep as well. I'll have them set up a guest quarter with some extra beds. Sorry. Keep doesn't have an unlimited amount of rooms, but we'll put you all in a room together. And we'll see you all in the field in just a few hours, so get anything else you need done in the village.
Thank you, Corin.
He'll nod, and then he'll ride off on his horse.
Do we need anything in the village?
That's a good question. I could use a bite to eat.
We could put the taste tester to test.
Wait, we haven't gotten the first taste tester yet. I'm the second tester. I taste second.
Right.
It's a twofold process. We talked about this.
Of course, there is the stipulation that if the first taste tester doesn't show up for whatever reason, you'll have to take their place. But
unless we can pay another. Suddenly, this kind of teen girl in just like simple peasant's dress walks up. Yeah, I was hired to be the taste tester.
Oh, perfect. Yes, come with us if you please.
And we see all of you head towards the tavern. And I think that's where we're going to end our session for tonight. Tense one.
Wow.
Due to somebody's stupid actions.
I don't know. I wouldn't call him stupid. I'd call him...
Reckless?
I would call him... reckless is what I would call him.
Stupid, reckless? Yeah.
I mean, most of it worked.
The getting in there and trying to sabotage was one thing, but like the betting against everything else was like the risky. I feel like.
I actually thought the betting scheme was fine. It was when he was like, "Now I'm gonna try to rig the odds." Was when he was like, when I was like, "Oh, he's gonna. This is gonna be like I tried to eat the cake too, and it's gonna be hilarious."
Living on the edge,
but hilarious in the sense that it just made everything like really interesting. And now you guys know kind of like the seriousness of the games going on, and narratively, it was a cool way for us to figure out how to produce that, and it wouldn't have happened if you hadn't tried it. So
you're welcome then.